Hello, my pretties. Would you like a stronger, more durable back, a more viable back, therefore less vulnerable to injury? Or maybe you've got something that ails your back currently, and perhaps I can show you something that might make it feel better over time. So with that, I'm just a layperson. Check with your healthcare professional, your doctor. Make sure this is safe for you before you do what I show you, because I'm just a layperson. I love learning. I know a lot of stuff that works really well, but you're an individual and I don't know you, and I'm not a doctor. So you'd have your caution. It's a superset move. It's probably, just maybe, the most effective particular superset a person can do for a strong back. It's incredible. It's a regular part of my fitness routine, and I'm a pretty fit guy. So this one is for the back, and most injuries actually revolve around the back, the low back, and probably the knees too. So this superset move, a superset is 2 exercises done back to back with little or no rest between the 2 sets. This one will require a set of dumbbells, so go out and get you some. I recommend power blocks. They're adjustable dumbbells. They're pretty inexpensive, comparatively speaking, without sacrificing quality. They don't take up a lot of space versus a whole rack of dumbbells. So I recommend that. I'm such a freak, though. I've actually got a set of dumbbells as well as my power blocks. Don't ask why. So the first move, I'm just going to demonstrate it first, and then I'm going to reverse engineer, explain what I'm doing, some different techniques that I'm doing that you might be able to do as well. Okay? So the first one, I'm going to show with and without a bench. First I'll show with the bench, and second will be without the bench. So the first move is going to be a bent over row with a bench, and then the second one is going to be a back and shoulder fly. So the first one, I'll show you. I'll demo, then I'll show you. Here we go. So this is going to be a real working set for me. I'm starting with 50s on this one, and then I'm going to move to 20 pounders, significantly lighter. That's what works for me right now. Plus, I just worked out, so I'm already a bit tired. Okay, first set, here we go. Here's what it looks like. Maybe one more. Okay, a breath or 2 breaths at the most, right into my neck. Here it goes. I'm actually going to switch weights right now. I'm glad this is happening in real time, so I'm going to explain the purpose for this as well. Okay. Oh, wow. And now I'm going to demonstrate real quick without the bench. And then I'm going to explain reverse engineer. Okay. This out of the way. See, we got options here. The only thing you will need for this is a couple sets of dumbbells. Or power blocks, whatever. Okay, so here's what it looks like. Standing upright like so. So when you pick up your weights, don't do this. No. Controlled, hinging here, knees over the ankles. And come up. So straight back. set these down, reverse way that I picked them up, and the second for my superset standing. Here goes. Sip of water, and then I'm gonna explain a bit. Ooh, that is nice. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. If you could spot some of the techniques that I was using, comment them. If you try this safely, comment. How does it go? How's it going for you? So, the first set was bend over rows. That's when doing this motion here. Elbows are to the sides. My back is straight. My knees are over maybe the midline of my foot, so they're not over my toes. One of the most important things is to elongate your spine. Create as much space as you can between your mouth and your butt, so everything's elongated all the way through the spine. Now when I was on the bench, like this, sort of my legs are squat and my chest is up here, I would round my shoulders forward. I keep my shoulders depressed. I wouldn't shrug them, kept them depressed down, but I would round my shoulders, and then boom, like so. If you recall, what it looked like, I'll demo without the weight so you can see what I mean by that. So on the down phase, I'm rounded down as much as I can. And ever do Supermans? You're laying on the floor, and the goal is to bring your back and your shoulders back as far as you can, doing like an extension with your back as much as possible. You can put your arms out forward and go up as much as you can, out to the sides, out to the back, and just as much as you can. Well, I'm doing that on the up phase here with this bend over row on the bench. So it's, even at the top, you can see I'm coming up as much as I can. So basically it's my solar plexus that's rested on the bench, my chest. I'm bringing up as much as I can. So that's going to strengthen the muscles that go all the way up and down your spinal column. That's hugely important. Protect those vertebrae. Also the rhomboids, by protracting and then retracting your shoulders while keeping your shoulders down. That's going to engage your rhomboid muscles to get that beautiful thickness to your back. Also to make you safer from injury, right? It's important. And what else am I doing there? As far as keeping my elbows in, instead of like that, going like this, it's a row. That's also working more the middle and the thickness of my back. Now keeping my elbows out, that's another exercise. It's just as legit. You're just working the back a little bit differently. So with something like this, you're also working the rhomboids, which is what retracts the shoulder blades together, but you're also getting more of the back of the shoulders as well, the posterior deltoids. So those are important muscles. Keep the rotator cuffs protected. I got videos on that with shoulder muscles, lateral, anterior, posterior. Get your traps up here. But those are the main muscles you're targeting with that particular exercise there. And now when you're up without the bench, your back is mostly straight, but I do round the shoulders a little bit when I do that. Sometimes, I'll vary it up. Sometimes I'll keep them retracted the whole time. Other times, so it depends on if I want to statically contract my spinal column, those muscles are on there, or not. And also if I want to work out my rhomboids statically or maybe more dynamically. So it depends on what your goal is there. But safety is the key thing there. When I'm on the bench doing the rows, almost every time I'm rounding as much as I can, then retracting as much as I can, and like that Superman position in the up phase. Also, another technique that I employ is I will squeeze at the top most reps. Some reps I either forget or I just don't because I'm going for variety, but a lot of times, especially when it starts to burn, or even before it starts to burn, maybe to get the burn to show up a little more quickly. I'll come up, I'll squeeze maybe for a half a second or a full second before I come back down versus a bouncing sort of thing. If I bounce, it's going to typically be on the lower end. Squeeze up here and just get more out of it. Pretend like there's somebody's fingers are going right in the center of my back and I'm trying to crush them by squeezing as much as I can. Okay? So the other move that I did, the second move in the superset, was those are back and shoulder flies. It's kind of in between the two because on those, I'm keeping my arms at a 45-degree angle. So instead of all the way back like this with my elbows to my sides, instead of like this, I'm just going straight out to the sides. It's at a 45-degree angle. My elbows a little bent, definitely not locked straight. If they're straight, they're not locked, but they're usually a little bent on that particular one. And on that one too, when I'm on the bench, I am rounding forward, protracting, and then retracting on the way up. You can see, get my hair out of the way, my hair is out of the way. Okay, you can see in this angle how it kind of works my back a bit, right? See those muscles being worked. Now the weight switch that I did, 20s was a little bit much for me right now. Normally I thought 20 is about right for me, but I just did a workout before this video. Part of that workout was a back workout, so the back was a little bit wasted. So I got another weight because I didn't really feel what I know I should be feeling. So working to momentary muscular failure is what I'm doing. That's a technique I do all the time, almost all the time. And the key ingredient with that, I'm going to make another video about this one topic matter, but real quick here, working to momentary muscular failure. Some people says, that's how you build strength. Some people say, no, it sabotages building strength. It doesn't do anything. It depends. It depends. So if you're reaching momentary muscular failure in ideally about 40 seconds to maybe a minute, somewhere in that window, then you worked those muscles super hard, and congratulations. If you reach momentary muscular failure in, say, the first 10 seconds, you might not be able to do anymore, but there just wasn't enough volume, most likely, and most of the time, to really do anything for the muscles that's being worked. So there has to be a merge. You have to merge like that window of 40 seconds to a minute, along with reaching momentary muscular failure inside of that window. So that's just a generality there, and it does make a big difference. So the age-old question, is MMF important? Well, it depends. Momentary muscular failure, MMF, it depends. Did you achieve it in 40 seconds to a minute or longer? You can do it in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then it becomes, maybe you're activating different muscle fibers, but still, you want to feel a nice burn. And those last, another technique I did is working past the point of momentary muscular failure. There's several things you can do for that, and I've got videos on that too, but in this particular instance, what I did is I couldn't do anymore. So I would pause at the bottom for a breath and then squeeze out one last one, because it's the last 2 or 3 that you do, or the last one that you do, is the one that's really gonna contribute towards your gains. So everything before those last 2 or 3 reps where you can't squeeze out anymore, maybe you can just squeeze out one more or whatever, everything up to that point, everything up to the point of where the pain comes, the purpose of that is to get to where the actual work is. Everything up to that point is not the actual work. It's the work to get to the work, so that you get those gains in your fitness, your strength, your mobility, whatever the case may be. So those are all the techniques I can think of off the top of my head that I employed during all of that. Switching out the weights wasn't something I planned, but I'm glad it happened anyway, so that I could show you real world stuff that happens if it's not the right weight. You got to stop and grab the correct weight. So I turned that one into a drop set, because I started with 20s and I went down to 12s without taking a rest really, except what it took to switch or to swap weights out. So that worked out really well for me. Then I felt like I was doing the right thing for that particular moment. And some days when you hit the weights, on a particular exercise, you might be